I want to welcome everybody here today. Thank you for being here. I'm Senator Becky Massey here representing Knox County. And it really is just an exciting day to follow up on Senate Bill 1 that was heard before the U.S. Supreme Court this week. And we are the test case for the country. And to be at that front to protect children, you know, is an important place to be. And I'm proud of the work that we've done and how we are leading the nation. So I want to introduce the folks here, and several will be speaking, but I have Senator Tom Hatcher representing the Blount County and surrounding county areas. And we have Senator Richard Briggs that will be speaking next. We have our Majority Leader Jack Johnson, and we have obviously Mayor Glenn Jacobs. So right now to be brief, I'm going to turn it over to Senator Briggs.
Thank you very much, Senator Massey. This is really a landmark bill, not only for the state of Tennessee, but also for the country. We have 25 states that have passed laws very similar to what we have in Tennessee about protecting children from both surgeries and for the hormonal treatments that they would need to do their transition in sexual transition related to transgender treatment. This will probably be the leading, most followed decision that they'll make in this term of the Supreme Court. I want to make some comments about why we did this in the state of Tennessee. We did it to protect children. This is not part of the cultural wars that we read so much about what's going on. It's not an anti-transgender statement. It's about protecting children, both from having surgery that may or may not be of any benefit and receiving hormones that may retard both their brain development and their physiologic development in other ways. Europe is decades ahead of where we are in starting these treatments. They have 40, 50, 60 years of experience with this. They've noticed a lot of adverse effects. They have now pulled back the reins, put on the brakes, and saying it's not doing what we thought it was going to do, and there may be harm coming to children for the treatments that they've received. The United Kingdom, France, Norway, Sweden, and Finland have all stopped it completely, except in very tightly controlled research studies. What we're doing in Tennessee is that we're saying, let's slow things down. Let's put on the blinking yellow light, maybe even a red light, until we know what this does to children, because it is so transformational, not only to their mental well-being, but also to their physical well-being. I want to introduce right now Senator Jack Johnson. He was the sponsor of this bill. He was also in attendance in the United States Supreme Court on Tuesday when this was heard. So Senator Johnson, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Senator Briggs, and thank you all for being here. It really is an historic time right now in Tennessee and the country. On Wednesday, the United States Supreme Court, all 9 Supreme Court justices conducted oral arguments. I want to thank, on behalf of all of our members, the hard work of Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti and his legal team, who did a magnificent job defending our legislation, the law that we passed in Tennessee to protect children. Our Solicitor General, Matt Rice, is the individual who actually argued the case in front of the Supreme Court. And I did have the distinct honor, as one of the sponsors of the legislation, to be in attendance at the Supreme Court hearing. And that was really a special occasion, something I've never done before. I wanted to be here for a couple of reasons. One, I just think it's very important that our constituents, Tennesseans, understand how hard we're working to protect children. And I also wanted to be here to thank my colleagues, because I was the sponsor of the legislation, but this legislation would not have passed were it not for Senator Briggs, Senator Massey, and their valiant efforts to help us get this legislation across the finish line. No one member of either the State House or the State Senate can pass legislation. It's truly a team effort. And so we will await the decision from the Supreme Court. It could be a few months before we get that final decision. But at the end of the day, this legislation and the case that's before the United States Supreme Court is simply deciding whether states have the right to pass legislation like this as they see appropriate and with the will of their constituents to protect children. That's what we did in Tennessee. I'm very proud of the legislation and very grateful to my colleagues. I want to say a special word about one of the newest members of our Senate family, Senator Tom Hatcher. He was not in the Senate at the time, but I can tell you, I heard him on the campaign trail talking about this very important issue, and I know he supports our legislation, and he is going to be a very, very powerful advocate for children and protecting children in the state of Tennessee. So we have one more speaker that I'm proud to introduce, and then we'll be glad to open it up for questions. Mayor Jacobs, in his role as Knox County Mayor, has been such a great ally to us in the General Assembly. Very grateful for the wonderful working relationship we have with him. I know that in his own right, he is a tireless advocate for children all across Tennessee, and especially here in Knox County. And he also was very gracious to provide our accommodations today. So I'd like to ask Mayor Jacobs to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Senator. Well, thank you. I just wanted to thank our senators here in the General Assembly for everything that they've done with this issue. I think if you look at this from a practical standpoint, this is common sense legislation that's grounded in science and it's data driven, okay? And there's not really much arguing that. If you look at it from a political perspective with what's happening at the Supreme Court, a lot of the issues that plague our country, I believe, are due to one-size-fits-all policies coming out of Washington, D.C. instead of states' rights and federalism. And to me, this would fall under that. And states should be allowed to make their own laws and their own rules where the Constitution provides that. And this is one of those situations. So this took a lot of courage in the current political environment for our General Assembly to do. So I'm very proud of them. And yes, Tennessee is leading the nation, not only in this issue, but on many others as well. So thank you all so very much. And I'll turn it back over to the senators for any questions that you all might have. Thank you.
Do you want